The free agency window opened up. We saw plenty of moves. We saw Petrarca choose where he wants to go. We saw a fiery Clayton Oliver, not only with his meeting, but then also at the airport. So without further ado, let's get in to digest it. It's starting to get juicy with trade periods kicking off Monday, but here's what's happened so far. First off, probably the topic and the headline of the day is Christian Petrarca chooses the Gold Coast Suns. Now, he has requested a trade, and Melbourne have put out there that they definitely they will not be paying a cent of his wage, unlike what they have said with Oliver, which we will touch on. But it was rumored, so it was obviously out of if you saw the last time we had it, it was out of the Crows and the Suns, and it was said that Petrarca asked the Crows for an extra year and just a little bit more money, and I don't think they were able to do it, so he chose the Suns. We know his partner has a holiday home down there in Noosa, which is about 2 hours from the Gold Coast, so that definitely does help, and I think just going to a team that will be competing is just going to be a superstar thing. But let's not dwell over Petrarca and his career that he had at Melbourne. Was a bit of a slow burner, but he always was someone that they looked at and said he's going to be talented. Did take a while to come on, but when he came on, my God, 212 games for the Demons, kicked the 202 goals. He's a 4-time All-Australian. He's a 2-time best and fairest winner for the Demons. He's the 2021 Premiership player, and in that same game was the Norm Smith medalist. Actually has a record for the most disposals in a grand final, where he had 43 disposals. 2025, he wasn't at his destructive best that we know of Petrarca these last 2 years. But he did still finish second in their BNF and averaged to 25.5 disposals, 7.3 score involvements, and kicked the 18 goals. So we know the most destructive the most destructive Petrarca is when he has ball in hand centre forward and he's impacting the scoreboard either off his boot directly or setting up players down that way. Now, it's going to be interesting. So the dynamic now, obviously, is someone like I don't think so, but like, does this mean that Touk Miller definitely plays a bit more half forward? We'll talk about another player soon, but I'm assuming round one, when this trade, I'm assuming this trade will get done. When this gets done, it will be Rao, Anderson, Petrarca, and that's a dangerous looking midfield with, and don't underestimate big Jared Witts, one of the best tap ruckmans, if not the best tap ruckman in the competition, just palming it down to the likes of them. Obviously already Matt Rao with the 2025 Brownlow medalist, Noah Anderson, the skipper, which is absolutely electric, top 10, top 5 player in the comp. Second in the BNF to Matt Rao by 1 vote. But yeah, that's just even more scarier sights there for the Gold Coast Suns, adding Petrarca in that. He is similar to, while we're talking about him, we may as well just get onto it. I think Petrarca is the type of player that they're hoping Bailey Humphrey becomes. Bailey Humphrey was taken with pick 5 a couple of years ago. Let's just double check that. No, so sorry. He was taken with pick 6, not pick 5, in the 2022 national draft. Obviously from the Gippsland Power, from Moe. And they're hoping he came out and leaped some bounds this year and really put some more consistent footy together, played the 23 matches, averaged the 15.4 disposals and kicked the 25 goals. Showed his impact, forward the ball in one-on-one marking contest with his power, but then also his explosiveness when he went into centre bounces and played midfield and pushing forward. He's going to be an absolute star player. Now the question is, will it be at Gold Coast? It is rumoured that he was exploring a move home. Now, whether it was him exploring it or clubs think that he is gettable because of the push to come back home remains to be the question. He has met with Melbourne, Stephen King. Now, where the link to Stephen King comes in is when Stuart Dew was sacked from the Gold Coast Suns. Stephen King was the interim coach. They already have a bit of a relationship there. So there was a photo of Bailey Humphrey of him meeting with Stephen King and Nathan Jones. But he's also met with Collingwood by what was said down there. So Melbourne, Collingwood, and I believe Hawthorn is another one who's been into the race. I think anyone would love to have a Bailey Humphrey in their side. Just 21 years of age. He's only going to get better, and he's that Petrarca module type of player. So watch this space on Bailey Humphrey, but I don't think the Gold Coast Suns will let him. They've already said pretty much when that Charlie Curnow trade to the Gold Coast Suns was coming up, it was rumoured that they said, all right, you can have Charlie. We want Bailey Humphrey, and they just shut that down straight away. Or we want Jed Walter. They shut that down straight away too. So I'm assuming the Gold Coast Suns are going to stand firm and just say straight no to this, and Bailey Humphrey stays a Sun, but it's definitely a watch this space type of scenario. Now, another Melbourne Demons player, obviously, is Clayton Oliver. Thursday morning, he was summoned to a meeting at the club with new coach Stephen King, and was pretty much told of where he sees Clayton Oliver playing in 2026, and that is not as his starting midfielder. A new role playing, whether that would be half forward or that, but he would not be playing as his starting midfielder. And if he wanted to explore options, by all means, go and explore options. Pretty much Stephen King was saying, I don't see you in my best team, nor do I want you in my team. So if you want to go explore your options, go ahead and do it. And that's exactly what he's done. He was at the airport, and he was not... It was rumoured that it was a fiery meeting. Then it was rumoured that it was a respectful conversation. But it couldn't have been respectful if we saw his encounter with Mitch Cleary at the airport, where he told him, I'll swear on here. He told him to just fuck off. He goes, fuck off. I don't know how many times I need to say it. I fucking hate that shit. And then went on to say, I fucking hate that, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to say that other word. But... yeah, he couldn't be. And then he has met with GWS Giants. It said he will have a proper meeting with them in 48 hours, which I wrote down yesterday. So I'm assuming it will be tomorrow before he heads off on a holiday to the USA. And it's just interesting because it's obvious Clayton Oliver's had his off-field problems. It looks like Stephen King just doesn't want his off-field problems anymore around his club, and he's looking to build something new without Oliver, without May, and now possibly without Petrarca. But the career that he had at Melbourne is not one to gloss over. 205 games, kicked 58 goals. He's a 4-time BNF winner. He's a 3-time All-Australian. He's a 2-time AFL Coaches Association Champion Player of the Year, and he's a 2021 Premiership player. When Clayton Oliver was at his best, he was one of the best players in the competition, and he just simply hasn't been able to get back to his form since his off-field problems. Maybe a new scenery will help him share light and get back to that form, but that's what we'll have to wait and see. But Clayton Oliver will not be at Melbourne in 2026, mark my words on that one. First of the free agencies to make their moves was he was an unrestricted free agent. James Worpel joins the Geelong Football Club. The Hawks receive a end of second round compensation pick, which is currently pick 39. Played 148 games for the Hawks as an inside ball midfielder, kicked the 49 goals, and was actually the 2019 best and fairest of the Hawthorns. So has the best and fairest to his name, and once that year was like, geez, he's going to be a star for Hawthorn, but then just really never got back to that year's form. He's shown it in glimpses, but has never really been able to put it through for a whole season. So 2025, he averaged 20 disposals, 4.8 clearances, and just kicked the 4 goals. So he's gone across to the Cats to help boost their midfield. I'm assuming they're starting probably be Smith, Worpel, and Holmes or Atkins. But yeah, Atkins and Worpel, they're both inside ball type of players, but I don't know about you. I'm taking Atkins over Worpel every day of the week purely for his tackling pressure that he does too, and he's proven that he can run with the best players in the competition, go head to head, and beat them too beat them in the battle. So it's an interesting one, but he just wasn't going to get a game in that. He wasn't in Sam Mitchell's plans, I don't think, in that starting midfield with some of the young players coming through. Will Day when he's fit and firing. Jai Newcomb in there. Who else? I'm thinking Josh Ward. Another one in there. I'm missing so many names. I think Connor McDonald will eventually play a bit more centre bounce time. I was Carl Amon off a wing going through there. I don't know why, but all of a sudden Hawthorn midfielders have just slipped my mind, and I purely think it might be because they just didn't turn up on preliminary final week and didn't. Dylan Moore goes through there. Who else? Yeah, but I remember saying that's pretty much it. But I remember saying that's where the Hawks needed to boost their midfield. Cam McKenzie just wasn't getting a game. Henry Hustwaite wasn't getting a game. Some young stars. So it'll be interesting to see how they structure their midfield in 2026. But best of luck to James Worpel at the Geelong Cats. Next one was Jacob Ware, joined Port Adelaide, was picked up as a mature ager in the 2020 draft from the Woodville West Torrens down there in the Sandful from the Jerry West Giants. Played the 39 games from playing his first game in 2022. In 2025, he was a hard-running wingman. Didn't play every game, the 14 matches, 13.4 disposals and 4 goals. I just think so. It's a decent get there for Port Adelaide. I think it's good to have some outside run, but it's nothing of massive note. But I think he's a really good runner on the outside. But best of luck. Obviously, Jacob, half of that would be the factor of going home. Being originally picked up as mature ager for the Sandful. The go-home factor was always going to be there. Charlie Spargo from the Melbourne Demon to join North Melbourne. Now, Charlie Spargo just fell out of favour of the best team these last few years. Was a mainstay through that premiership year in 2021 and those years prior to that, and then just fell out of favour. 108 games, 64 goals, and he's a 2021 premiership player. Only the 10 matches in 2025, played the sub a lot, but what's the most damning factor is he's a small forward, played the 10 matches and just hit the 1 goal. It's just the 1 goal. It's just simply not good enough for AFL level. He will get a consistent game at North Melbourne, because let's face it, they're at the bottom of the ladder. They're still building to him moving to North is probably not the worst idea. But yeah, just that 2025 series of 10 matches from 1 goal is just not good enough. Hopefully Charlie Spargo can find some extra spark down there at the Kangaroos. The St Kilda War Chest starting to get busy and finally lodging the paperwork. Jack Silvani and TDK to the Suns. The Blues will get pick 19 for first round up for compensation for Silvani, pick 19. He played Silvani very injury prone, and the Blues just didn't know especially where to play him. They played him forward, they played him on the ruck, they played him as a tagger for a little bit. And then they thought, Stephen Silvani, his dad, one of the best fullbacks of this century. Maybe Jack could be a decent key defender. It was too little too late, because once they put him in this year, he was exceptional as a key defender down there. Has the perfect height, the athleticism, the interceptability, and he's just competitive. One thing about Jack Silvani, with the different roles that they were giving him, he always gave it 110%. He works hard and wears his heart on his sleeve. So whenever they gave him a role, he tried to his best of his ability, but just couldn't lock down a proper position. It wasn't until this year that he locked down a position as a key defender. But now he's off to the Saints and will help boost up that backline alongside Wilkie. And we'll be interested to see if they use Caminiti still down there, who looked all right developing as a key defender, or do they push him back forward? But Silvani, the 128 games for the Blues, kicked the 89 goals, obviously spending a lot of that time as a forward. 2025, 13 matches, then went down with an injury, averaged to 13.8 disposals, 6.2 intercepts, and 5.8 marks. Then we move over to TDK, who absolutely started this season on a heater. Then fell away a little bit late, but was still solid. Pick 9. They're going to get pick 9 for compensation. Carlton. He's played exactly the 100 games and kicked the 36 goals. Still developing as he gets through, but I think he will really help that St Kilda, having them both there. Obviously, getting them both as a package, played a lot of footy together, will also help. 2025, it averaged to 23.3 hit-outs, 17.3 disposals, 4.4 clearances, and 6 goals. So that's two great gets. It was always happening, but the paperwork is officially lodged and the war chest is still going. Sticking with the Saints, Jack Steele has been stood down as captain, and his future is indefinite. At the moment, it looks like the Jerry West Giants are having a little bit of a sniff, but I don't see where Jack Steele could play. It's almost like the game has gone past him. If you can't play multiple positions in this today's day and age, you will get left behind. And Jack Steele is a midfielder. If he's not tagging and running with the other big body midfielders in a defensive role, then there's not much he can do, because he doesn't possess elite speed, and he doesn't possess elite skills, elite kick. So, but Jack Steele at his best was an exceptional player. 202 games, 185 for St Kilda after being picked up from the Giants, I think probably through their academy. From the Giants academy. 70 goals. He's a two-time All-Australian. He's a two-time Best and Fairest winner for the Saints. He was the 2021 AFL Players Association Most Courageous Player, co-captain in 2021, and then led the charge on his own from 2022 to 25. Played the 21 matches in 2025. Just the 20.4 disposals, but his tackling was there, 8.7 a game. That's huge. 4.8 clearances and 4 goals. So it'll be interesting to see if anyone has a sniff there at Jack Steele. Now, this one was interesting. Ben Ainsworth has been reported to be exploring his options, but he still has 3 years left on a deal. I really like Ben Ainsworth as a player, that high half forward who can go into the middle a little bit as well. He's a really, really honest player, works hard, that high, as I said, that high half forward that every club really needs, that can go into the midfield or gets up and back, applies the forward pressure too. That's another thing that he does really well. 156 games for the Suns. He's kicked 136 goals, and he played all 24 games in 2025. Kicked just the 23 goals though, so a bit down, and 13.4 disposals, but was definitely honest. So this one's a bit weird because he does have 3 years left on his deal, but he is exploring his options. Is he maybe thinking that he'll be left out, or is there a home factor? It's definitely a watch on this one as trade period opens up on Monday. There was rumours about this, and we did expect this with TDK coming in, but Rowan Marshall has officially requested a trade to Geelong. Finally, the Cats can have a ruckman. Finally, they will have a pure ruckman. And Marshall, 156 games for the Saints, kicked the 78 goals, was solid again in 2025, 23 matches, 27.3 hit-outs, 18.3 disposals, laid 4.7 tackles. That's a good thing about Marshall. He gets busy around the ground too. 4.1 clearances and 10 goals. It was always going to be interesting to see how Rowan Marshall and TDK would work in the same team. Obviously, he's only requested at the moment, but it was always going to be interesting. Even though Marshall was drafted as a centre-half forward, he hasn't showed that he can play a full season centre-half forward, and I don't think DeConey can play anywhere else but the ruck. It would be interesting to see them do the 1-2 punch together like they did with Rowan Marshall and Paddy Ryder, but Rowan Marshall obviously wants to be the number one ruckman, and with TDK coming in, he was never going to be that number one ruckman. Just the younger age being that factor. And fresh off today, as I'm recording this on Saturday afternoon, Sam Flanders has nominated the St Kilda Football Club. Now, he still has a few years to run on his deal at the Gold Coast Suns, but I see this getting done quite comfortably. Might not be earlier on. It might be one of the last day type of scenarios. But it's a good get here for the Saints. War chest back at full effect. Add some more midfield depth into their team. 89 games, Flanders, from 2020 to 2025. Kicked the 37 goals. Played 23 matches in 2025 for the Suns. Averaged 18.7 disposals and 12 goals. Played some of his best footy at halfback and in the midfield. There was a time, I want to say maybe 2 years ago, when he was a must-have in Supercoach, when he was playing half-back, averaging about 120, 130 a game for all your Supercoach players. And then that same year, the back end of the year, moved into the midfield and continued that form. But with the emergence of Rao, Anderson, Humphrey coming on, he's just been pushed out to a half-forward flank, and then he has no role at half-back now because they brought in Rioli, they brought in Noble, Will Powell's down there. So they just had no room for him off half back down there, so he got stuck at half forward, and it's definitely not his best position to be playing. So he went out looking for some more midfield time, and he has found St Kilda to be his best suit. Another one that we already knew that was happening, but the paperwork has been lodged today. Sam Draper to the Brisbane Lions. Essendon received an end of first round compensation pick, which is currently 20. Managed the 78 games for the Bombers from 2017. Kicked the 43 goals and kicked the 2022 goal of the year. Never forget that one. What a goal that was. 2025, just the 5 matches, then went down with an injury. 20.6 hit-outs, 13.4 disposals, and kicked the 7 goals. Was having to play a bit more of a forward ruck role with Goldstein coming in. But then going across to the Brisbane Lions, he'll play that number 1 ruck role. It'll be interesting. Watch this space on Oscar McInerney if he goes around, or now with Draper coming across. Does he retire? Because it was rumoured that his body is just not keeping up with it now at the age of 31, I believe he is now. And the last but not least, Brody Mihocek today will join Melbourne on a 2-year deal from the Collingwood Magpies. And first of all, as a Collingwood supporter, I want to say thank you, Brody. Thank you, Checkers. Was picked up as a mature ager from the VFL and came in, was picked up as a key defender where he played in the VFL, Port Melbourne, Port Melbourne. But then came to the Magpies and immediately played as a key forward and did not disappoint. 159 games since debuting in 2018. He's a 2023 Premiership player. He's a 2023 Premiership player. He's a 5-time Collingwood leading goal kicker, and he's leading goal kicker from 2019 2023. I don't know why I haven't wrote down how many goals he kicked, so let me just double check that. Brody Mihocek. So the 159 games. We just load this up. 267 goals. 267 goals. 2023 Premiership player. 5-time Collingwood leading goal kicker from 2019 to 2023. So 5 in a row. And in 2025 was a bit down, especially to the back end of the year. Was nursing a bit of injuries by the looks of it. Kicked the 36 goals from 22 matches. But be interesting to see how he's going on a 2-year deal. And after that 2 years, I think that might be it for him. But the Melbourne are crying out for a focal point down in that forward line. And what we know from Brody Mihocek is he might play as a little bit small, not smaller, but like as some of the other monster key forwards, but he gives it a crack. He provides a presence and he gives it 110%. So a great get there for the Melbourne Demons. Well, there's your wrap for all the moves that's happened in the free agency period and the Clayton Oliver and Christian Petrarca news. Thank you guys for listening. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to leave a like and comment on this video. Hit that subscribe button and turn the notification bell on so you're notified whenever we upload. If you're listening to this via Spotify and Apple Podcasts, make sure to leave a like and comment on this video. Hit that follow button. Turn the notification bell so you're notified whenever we upload. Share this off to a mate who you think might enjoy it. And please, guys, remember, if you did enjoy this, please leave a 5-star rating as that does help push the show out there. Thank you guys for listening. And until next time, I'll see you guys then.